So round 21 sees the return of so many superstars, which makes for some pretty bloody exciting footy to be played. Your top 8 as it stands, we have the Panthers on top, 30 points, joined by the Broncos who are also on 30 points. Melbourne and Canberra round off the top 4 both on 28 points. And the bottom half of the 8 we have the New Zealand Warriors, 26. The Cronulla Sharks also on 26, Parramatta on 24, and the Bunnies at 8. Also on 24 points, and not far behind them, actually right on them, are the Cowboys on 24, who sit at 9th. It's pretty crazy how close the comp is in terms of points, but form-wise, there's actually a substantial difference from your mid to top tier and the fringies. But yeah, before we take a look at this week's matches, let's go ahead and take a look at how we did last week. In terms of picks, we're one off. In hindsight, obviously, I'm a little annoyed that I did back the fucking Roosters. You know, at home, I was expecting a little origin fatigue from the Melbourne superstars, but it wasn't the case. In fact, the Roosters, I thought they were on in like the first 10 minutes, but they fell off a cliff. We stuck our necks out for them and ultimately got decapitated. As for the bakery, 3 players saluted. And yeah, that's pretty much it, eh? Let's go ahead and take a look at the exciting week ahead. So to kick off the round, Thursday night footy, we have a doo-doo derby between the 16th placed St. George Dragons and the West Tigers. The match is being played in Wollongong. The ins and outs starting with the home side. Fullback Tyrell Sloan and hooker Jacob Little make their returns after picking up injuries. They also welcome back their skipper and Jack Bird, who will be coming off the bench. For the Tigers, we got David Nofoaluma back, taking his spot on the wing, and Dane Laurie to the 6, pushing Will Smith out of the side. Youngster Talon De Silva gets another crack. He'll be on the bench in place of Jake Simpkin. That's interesting. My pick for this, look, there's nothing much to say. You already know how I feel about the Tigers forward pack. On paper, they still have a pretty impressive lineup, but I'm going to go with the Dragons in this one at home. I know they're in different positions, but I'm looking forward to who can take control of this game. Looking at Ben Hunt, looking at Api Korosa, but yeah, I'm on the Dragons. Won't be surprised one bit if the Tigers pull off an upset, as they've shown they've got a little grit in them. Give me the Dragons, give me 1 to 12 points. Game 2, we have an absolute banger of a doubleheader, starting off with the Warriors hosting the Canberra Raiders at Go Media Stadium. First of all, can I just say how hectic it is to see Mount Smarts absolutely pumping these last couple weekends. Or should I say this last weekend? The All Blacks playing there, packed house, then the Waz. The vibes are immaculate, but yeah, in terms of ins and outs, the Warriors welcome back Maratani Okore and Bunty Alfor, the Enforcer, who did go missing last week due to concussion. Mitch Barnett and Tom Male were both moved to the bench, and Josh Curran and Bailey Surinen fall out of the 17. For the Raiders, they welcome back their long-time enforcer Josh Papali'i, Corey Horsburgh, back from Origin, and Pasami Saulo makes his way back from a concussion. Ata Mariota makes way, he goes back to the bench, with Peter Holler and Trey Mooney dropping out. As for my pick in this round 15 rematch, I'll be brutally honest, I don't think the Raiders have much for the Warriors. Don't get me wrong, they can grind teams out. Their attack and just threat in general, I don't see them troubling the Warriors, if I'm honest. We saw the Warriors go through some absolute wars throughout the season, and we're starting to see that pay dividends, not only smacking them in that Croker 300th game, but last week we saw them absolutely dismantle the Cronulla Sharks and sort of solidify themselves as true contenders. I am looking forward to the battles between the front row in particular. You got Adam Fanor-Blake, who is, I'd say, maybe 2 under Payne Haas in terms of form, coming up against Joey Tapine, who is an absolute weapon in his own right. But yeah, I'm on the Warriors, and I'm going to go with 13 plus. To wrap up the Friday night, we have the South Sydney Rabbitohs hosting the Brisbane Broncos. Both teams are looking pretty stacked. In terms of ins and outs, there's a laundry list for the Bunnies. We'll start there. They welcome back Cam Murray, Campbell Graham, Cody Walker, Damien Cook, Hame Sele, Jacob Host, Jai Arrow, Kiongolo Matangi, and Latrell Mitchell. They've also got Jed Cartwright at 18th man. All players returning to their preferred positions, and they'll have a bench consisting of Blake Taff, Saliva Havili, Tom Burgess, and Jacob Host. For the Broncos, they get a boost as well. Patrick Carrigan, Payne Haas, and Reece Walsh make their way back into the side. Oh, I just seen the venue. It's a Bunnies home game, but they're playing in the Sunshine Coast. Interesting choice of venue. Not sure how that works, but yeah. My pick for this game, first of all, the last time they played, I think I did tip against the Broncos, and they ended up getting towed up. That was without Ezra Mam and Payne Haas. Both the lads back in this game, I'm slightly more confident to tip them this week against a seemingly full-strength Bunnies. I'm going to back the Broncos to sneak one past them, and we'll go 1 to 12 points. To kick off the Saturday triple header, we have the Gold Coast Titans taking on the Sydney Roosters. This being played at Cbus Super Stadium. In terms of ins and outs, starting with the home side, Titans skipper Tino Fa'asumaleaui will miss the next 3 games after taking an early guilty plea to a shoulder charge on Regan Campbell-Gillard. So they got Isaac Liu to start in the front row, Aaron Clark to start at lock, and Jaden Campbell returning to the bench. For the Roosters, it's the return of their skipper, James Tedesco, so he's back at fullback, pushing Joey Manu to the centres and Joey Sua'ali'i back out to the wing. As for my pick, I don't know, kind of I'd say a coin flip type of game. Pretty bloody nuts to say given the differences on paper, because the Chooks are stacked, we all know this, but they have zero chemistry. Titans with all the potential in the world, but I do think Tino Fa'asumaleaui's presence will be sorely missed in this, especially against a pack like the Roosters. I'm going to back them in. Again, the Titans to put up a fight in front of their home fans. Give me the Roosters 1-12. The second Saturday fixture, we got the Newcastle Knights taking on the Melbourne Storm. This being played at McDonald Jones Stadium. Ins and outs for the Knights. They welcome back Dane Gagai. I thought he was supposed to be back last week, but they got him back this week. And for the Storm, they've kept the same 17. They got the job done last week. As for my pick, Storm on the road. That's where I'm heading. I'm looking for the Knights to make it an ugly game, but I think the class of Harry Grant, Cameron Munster, Jerome Hughes, even Nick Meaney at the back, who's been like a pretty solid fill-in, playstyle reminiscent of recently retired Corey Thompson, definitely just as underappreciated / underrated as Corey Thompson was. You know, they won't light up the field of highlight plays, but they're solid. I think the Melbourne Storm spine will be the difference and will neutralise the threat of Kalen Ponga at the back. Give me the Storm 1-12. And for the final game for your Saturday night, we have the North Queensland Cowboys hosting the Parramatta Eels. Ins and outs starting with the Cowboys. It's looking like an unchanged 17. A little shuffle here and there. We've got Ruben Cotter starting at 13 and Jake Granville to the bench. Other than that, it's the same side. And for Parramatta, we all know by now that Regan Campbell-Gillard has been suspended. So starting in the front row will be Ofahiki Ogden. They've also got Sivo named here, but he's been suspended for 2 matches. So I'd say 18th man, Hayes Dunster, will be on the wing. Another close one for mine, both teams in red hot form at the moment. It was only like, a month and a half ago, I was totally off the Cowboys after getting pumped by the Tigers, but they've managed to turn things around and absolutely pop off during the Origin period. The Eels are also in decent form, winning 4 from their last 5. Their loss from a couple of weeks ago you can kind of look past, if you will. Granted, they were without 2 of their most influential players that typically dominate during an Origin period, and we're talking about Clint Gutherson and Mitch Moses. Not to take anything away from the Warriors' performance, but you know how it is. So yeah, my pick in this, I think Regan Campbell-Gillard is such a massive loss for the front row. So I'll be leaning towards the Cowboys in this at home. We'll be taking them by 1-12 points. And we are back to a regular Sunday session, the doubleheader, kicking things off with the Penrith Panthers hosting the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. Ends for the Panthers, we got Brian To'o, Isaiah Yeo, Liam Martin, Nathan Cleary and Steve Crichton waltzing on back into the starting side in their respective positions. They'll have a bench of Sonny Luke, Lindsay Smith, Spencer Leniu and Luke Garner. For the Bulldogs, they'll be without Braden Burns, Fa'amanu Brown and Toby Sexton. Kyle Flanagan goes back to halfback, Harrison Edwards to the bench, and they got Vili Kikau named in reserve, so he'll most likely make his return, as well as Josh Adokar. Nothing much to say about this game. I do think, like I assume 99% of the rugby league community, it'll be a Penrith Panthers mauling at home. So we'll take them by 13+. And to cap off the round, we have an intriguing game between 2 bullies, the old flat track bullies, the Manly Warrior Sea Eagles, and the new bullies on the block, the Cronulla Sharks. This being played at Shark Park, and the ins and outs, super interesting. They've made some tough yet much needed changes. So Matt Moylan, Teague Wilton and Wade Graham are on the outs list. Connor Tracy finally makes his way back into the starting side. He'll be in the centres, pushing Silsifa Dalakai not to the back row but to the bench. Braden Trindle takes over Matt Moylan's spot in the 6. Super gassed for Trindle. And Jesse Cahoon will be on the left back row. Their bench consists of Cam McInnes, Silsifa Dalakai, Jack Williams and Tommy Hazelton. For the Sea Eagles, Matt Lodge makes his debut coming off the bench, as does Sean Kepi for 12-4 Sipley and Ethan Bullimore. Like I was saying, there's a lot to like about this Sharks shake-up. They've essentially got a whole new left edge, and that's where all my focus will be once they take the field against the Sea Eagles. My pick for this game, I'm going to lean towards the Sharkies. They'll be looking to put on a big performance, especially after being crowned as pretenders by pretty much everyone in the media. I'm not gonna lie, that's low-key what I have them as well. Can they turn it around against DCE and the Sea Eagles, who haven't looked the greatest? Don't get me wrong, Cherry Evans, he's been an absolute weapon this year, but he's consistently being let down by the lads around him. Manly's forward pack in particular have been pretty soft, all except Jakey Trbojevic. Or you could probably throw Haumole in the mix as well as Croker, but yeah, overall, as a unit, they've looked pretty underwhelming. Looking at the lineup, they have similar sides in the forward pack. Absolute workhorses in Finucane and Trbojevic, strike on the right edge, but just a little soft in the middle. I'd say that's where the Sharks have been beat. Anyway, my pick for this, I want to take the home side in this. A big bounce back, give me Cronulla, give me 13+. So to wrap up the round, we got the Dragons 1-12, the Warriors 13+, the Broncos 1-12, the Roosters with a no confidence 1-12, Storm 1-12, the Cowboys 1-12, the Panthers 51+, and the Cronulla Sharks 13+. As per, there'll be a list of Oddskis Bakery, aka Try Scorers, and if you want to share your tips, go ahead and let us know in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, do your boy a favor and run straight to that like button, and for more rugby league related content, or more content in general, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you later.